Fueled by Death Guest.
Hey, let me start this off. Has anybody ever told you you sound like Brad Pitt from Inglourious Bastards?
No.
I'm picturing you in Italy being like, Buongiorno.
Yeah, well, we do
Gorlami.
that. Entrata la autostrada. Yeah, just get on the
Arrivederci.
radio.
You do have a little bit of that grit to you, though.
Ma aspetta, perché quando io parlo italiano, il mio accento è molto meglio.
All right.
A lot of something.
I love it.
It's better accent.
Oh, okay.
Oh, nice.
Than that.
That's awesome.
I think you should just stick to your guns and just go with gruff Italian.
Yeah,
Just
okay.
like,
Buongiorno.
Buongiorno.
There you go. Oh, man. Well, thanks for joining us today. And the first thing we want to talk about is you have quite an extensive background in sound and sound production.
Sure, yeah.
Not only being a musician.
Education,
You
maybe.
have education in it. And you currently work for a company that works with one of the biggest companies in the world, correct?
Well, it's my company.
Your company.
So, yeah, I mean, in as much as, one can set up your own company and run your own company.
Right.
Yeah, I have an audio and video production company, and I work with Google.
Awesome.
And we work together to produce the Talks at Google video series.
Now,
I'm
I've
part
caught-
of the cog in that.
I've caught a little bit of this
Sure.
with the talks at Google. What exactly? Where did this kind of stem from? Were you part of it from the get-go, or did you kind of?
Oh no.
Okay.
The Talks program has been active for a long time. It's loosely modeled after, not modeled after because it was kind of concurrent with, but it gets a lot of external comparison to like the TED Talks.
TED Talks,
Yeah.
Which a lot of people are familiar with. But basically, Google, with the intention of treating their employees as good as they possibly can, created the Talks program, which is they bring in guest speakers and they speak for about an hour as an employee perk. They say you guys can come and get some information shared and all that. And at some point somebody said, if we're going to bring all these people in, we should start recording it and publishing it for the world to see. Which is very much in line with Google's philosophy to share information and be open about that. So we started producing and recording them, and I got involved editing them and making them better, and we just roll from there.
So it was the initial idea was as a perk for Googler. That's what they're called, right? Googlers.
Googlers,
Yes. It was like basically it's in-house, in-company. Like if you work at Google, you can come to this talk.
Yeah, a lot of the times it's around lunch. So they encourage you to go grab some food and then come in, and instead of just sitting at your desk and stare at a screen, it's be in a room with other people and hear somebody share an interesting or thoughtful idea.
That's really cool.
And it's really awesome now that they're being produced and put out because, I mean, Google as a company is so large, but you yourself have even been able to, produce and talk to some really interesting people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Can you name a couple of them that you've talked to recently?
What
was the dude with the mustache?
Tom Selleck.
Yeah.
Or some people were confused. They thought it was my father. They're like, "Is this your dad?" And I'm like, "No, that's not my dad. That's Magnum.
Selleck.
That's Magnum PI."
That's awesome.
Thank you, but that's
Gator.
Tom Selleck.
And what did Tom come in for?
Tom is entering what is like the 8th season of Blue Bloods on
Bloods.
CBS, which
Yes.
is a hugely successful show.
Yes.
And in fact, it came up in the conversation. So he came on to discuss Blue Bloods and what they're doing with the show and CBS and all that stuff. And actually, I think in the middle of this season, they'll roll over more episodes than Magnum PI.
Oh my!
So he's about to
God.
eclipse his own record for.
Wow. And Magnum PI was on for a long time.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
8 seasons.
Yeah.
8 seasons of Magnum PI. I want to say like over 150 shows. Wow. And they're going to have their 150th Blue Bloods this year as well.
Wow, that's cool. So, I mean, is it all from the entertainment industry, or do you guys get
absolutely, yeah.
Like what other?
The core of it for the longest time has always been authors. Like people who have new books out that want to come in, talk about the book, share the idea, the concept of the book. When we've had some brilliant people. We had Mark Z. Danielewski come in to talk about The Familiar. That was a personal favorite of mine because I'm a big House of Leaves fan. I saw it on their bookshelf.
That's Alexis. That's
so that kind of stuff. Like Al Franken was just recently in, obviously Senator Al Franken, but it ranges from people who are economics professors, geniuses and authors in that regard. Scientists, we just had people come in and talk about AI and machine learning.
Oh, that's scary stuff.
Oh man,
We talk about that sometimes on this podcast.
Scares me
actually.
so much.
and they're just like stuff's really reaching out there into capabilities and technology. And
Can you
AI.
go into that a little bit?
I mean, and not so much in that I'd just be repeating what I heard from them to say. But
Aren't we all?
yeah, I mean, I don't know what in any regard what like Google is up to in that.
You can't talk about that.
I wouldn't even know where to begin to talk about that.
Well, that's really, it's such a cool thing to, put out into the world. Like, like you said, like a tenement of Google. What are some of, like, you run your own company and you're coming in, and helping them out. Is that like a, I don't know, a culture shock kind of thing? Whereas, like, do you get to play with the best toys? Is basically where this question is going, or?
Yeah, I guess.
I picture Google having like the best of everything.
Sure.
Yeah.
I mean, we're very well treated. We're very well taken care of. The philosophy of the company is creates a great environment. They want people to be happy. They want them to be taken care of. Well fed. Google food is a very big deal. And yeah, it's just a matter of, hey, we have the ability, and it's cool because they empower us in the people who are working on the team to produce like the talks.
Right.
They really empower us to just like continue to work to make it better. There's no finish line. There's no goal post. It's just like, hey, here you go. Here's your means. Please do what you guys can figure out and just keep on going. Wow. And so when we talk to more people and, we meet people who run publicists for Broadway shows, and we bring in a Broadway show, and then they want to bring in more Broadway shows, so we're able to bring more Broadway shows. Cool. Entertainment, the same thing, science and technology and economics and race and culture and art, and all of these different categories of people, and like anything, the more you do, the more it allows you to do. So
very, very neat.
We did in New York something like 800 talks.
Wow.
No, I'm sorry. That's a totally misspoken.
Oh,
I think we did in New York. I think we did like 150, and I think all
that's not even close to 800.
Yeah, no, but I think all
Get out
of
this
the
podcast.
program. I think all of the program produced something like 800.
Table flip.
Wow, that's
talks
still
last year.
impressive. And you
yeah, it's like,
does every single one go out to the public?
No, there are
Depending on.
There are some that don't.
Yeah.
Is that for specific reasons?
It's for a myriad of different reasons.
Yeah.
A lot of the times you get hung up on things like you can't really endorse certain things that can't be backed up, or like if somebody comes on and starts giving a bunch of financial advice, that's a very you got to be careful about putting that stuff out there.
Interesting.
The program is very clearly stated that the guests are speaking their own mind and their own opinion, and it's not the opinion of Google and everything like that. But you don't want to run into a mistake where somebody says, "Oh, I saw they said that I should buy this stock," and so you kind of avoid that stuff.
Right. Yeah. Do you try to stay out of like? Do you stay out of or stay into like the political side of things?
There's not a lot of politics in the terms of advocacy, which is important because again, we don't want to be advocating. We don't want to tell people. You don't want to tell people what to think. Tell people what to do. You're just allowing a platform for people to share an idea, and then hopefully people will take that idea and do with it what they want. Yeah. So it's more about information than it is about opinion and advice.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's really neat. So you come in to help them produce an amazing product, video and audio. When does it come to the point where they asked you to actually be on camera? Because you've actually been now the moderator for some of these talks.
Sure. Well, the program internally is operated by a very small team of full-time people, and then everything else outside of that is volunteers.
Oh, okay.
And a big part of the volunteer process and a big part of the draw for volunteers is, that there's no set roles. There's no official moderator for the program. It's like if you put in the work and you put in the effort, you can bring somebody in, you can have that kind of thing.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
So yeah, we allow, I don't say we, they allow for people to work on planning this stuff. And then if you want to moderate, you moderate. And I think when it first came up for me to do a moderation at all, it was a matter of, so it needed to be done.
Right.
And maybe the host didn't care to do it or whatever that might be. And I have a long background in talking to people,
Right.
in interviewing people, and in being on stage and conducting those sorts of things. So it was a matter of, hey, guys, I can do this if you want me to do it. And and so I did.
I mean, that's pretty open. Do they run into issues with, somebody who may not be that great of an interviewer up there on stage drowning?
It happens, but
Yeah.
we do everything we can with volunteers to make them feel comfortable, to make
Yeah.
them feel enabled.
Yeah.
We have produced educational material to say, hey, if you're going to moderate, here's a best practices list.
Mm-hmm.
Those sorts of things. So it's really about empowering employees, getting people involved, and getting them trained up and making them feel comfortable. We wouldn't want anybody to feel uncomfortable
Right.
on stage or anything like that.
Yeah.
But none of that's really my purview. Like I don't get to decide those things.
Right.
I show up and I contribute as much as I can.
That's really it's just really interesting. I love hearing about stuff like that, especially from a company that, face value, it's just like, I'm gonna go Google that, and then that's as far as I think about with Google sometimes.
Well, it's nice to see this monolith of a company not be a big freaking jerk like
Yeah.
all the other monolith companies,
It's true.
I mean,
Well, it's a big part of being googly. Right?
Yeah,
You gotta
yeah.
be googly. You gotta do no evil.
They set a gold standard for treating employees, and I think that's amazing for a company that's that big. And it's just we don't really see a lot of that.
Sure.
It's
There's,
cool.
it goes back to the philosophies of like, how do you motivate people? And for the longest time, corporate ideal and philosophy was based around the dangling carrot and the pointed stick.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. We're going to dangle a carrot in front of you to make you move because you want the carrot. And if you don't want the carrot, we'll just poke you with a stick.
Right.
Keep going. And studies have shown that that's backwards, and it
Right.
doesn't work for people, and it doesn't inspire people. And when you remove all of that and say, like, look, you're free. We want you to do this role, this function, and we want to empower you to do this function, and you're free to go and do it. And you would think, or the common knowledge, or the common like naysayer knowledge, is that it would demotivate people. Like, oh, if I don't have to do anything and I can just screw off all day, I'll just screw off all day.
Right.
But it's
Yeah.
actually got the opposite effect.
Yeah.
When nobody's lording over you, and when nobody's like threatening you with the stick or trying to encourage you with the carrot, you're left to your own motivational
Right.
devices.
Yes, exactly.
And then you're like, man, I want to do this.
Yeah.
I want to go create that. I want to improve this portion of it, or I want to work on trying to fix a systemic problem. I mean, this is the same kind of thing that you've been going through with building the studio. Right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
It's just sort of like
Everything
if there's
here,
no
yeah.
end line and there's no finish line, then it's like, wow, I can make this better, and I can
Right.
do that better, and I can do more. And
I've
And there's
never-
nobody looking over our shoulders telling it. See, the thing is, if somebody's telling you what to do and you do it, you feel like you did it for them. But if somebody's like, figure this out, and you figure it out for yourself, and like you said, self-motivated, you feel way more accomplished. You're like, I did this.
Yeah.
I made this happen, and
Well,
I
there's-
made this company better myself.
there's
which
also
feels
no
great.
there's also no stop, right? So
Right.
if somebody has dictated out like, oh, I need you to accomplish X, then you work and you accomplish X, and you're like, okay, check that box, I'm done.
Right.
I don't have to work anymore. I've finished.
Yeah.
And if it's like, if that line is not there, it removes like the ability to just do the bare minimum.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then you can always just,
There's no
maybe
cap anymore.
Do a little bit more of this, a
Yeah.
little bit more of that. And I think that's where people get burned out in regular jobs, is like, you have a set list of obligations. So you just show up and eventually you're just ticking the boxes.
Yep.
Right.
And so when you remove the boxes to tick, all of a sudden it's like, oh, I'm free to do things, and things I enjoy, and things that are cool.
It's an incredible way to work. I've never worked for a company like that until working for Death Wish. And
Yeah.
it's, and you notice it immediately that more gets produced, more gets done, because we don't have that stick, poking.
Sure.
And it's incredible. And again, that's why a company like Google, is also something that's incredible like that. Now, this is in New York City. This is the campus in New York City.
I
right?
work in the Manhattan campus.
How large is that?
There are 3 buildings.
Wow.
It encompasses the original New York City Port Authority building, which
Oh, okay.
which has a larger physical footprint than the Empire State Building.
Whoa.
Because it's an entire city block.
Wow.
So from 8th Avenue to 9th Avenue, from 15th Street to 16th Street, the entire block footprint is the Port
Google.
Authority building. And so that's Google, and then across the street is Google, and then across the street again is more Google.
Wow. Well, I mean, of course, it's got to be ginormous. Like,
Yeah, I think
to
it's
be able to do that.
Some,
what it does.
something in the neighborhood of like 9,000 people when,
Wow.
when you include like secondary support staff and
Wow.
that kind of stuff.
And we're recording this a little bit early, but when this episode actually is going to go out, we are going to be lucky enough to actually go down and be on a talk for Google.
Yeah, you guys are going to do the talks at Google.
Very
event.
excited. So, I mean, hopefully when this is released, you'll also be able to check that out as well.
I'm excited for that. I'm going to moderate that event.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
you get to
Cool.
moderate
So
it.
we'll be back doing this exact same thing.
Yeah, we'll be
just
able to
in a
come
different
down,
place.
and you said we get to see the campus and tour around a little bit, and
Absolutely.
I'm very, very excited. 'Cause
We'll
I'm
show you some
super-
fun stuff.
Super interested in all that kind of stuff. You were talking about we might even get to play like Google Earth or something, right?
Oh, yeah, that's you can play Giant Pac-Man.
Giant Pac-Man.
In
I'm
the
so
360 room where
I'm
they
so
got
ex-
Google Earth.
I'm so
What?
excited.
Yeah, we'll show it to you.
It's gonna
That's
be
awesome.
that's gonna be a lot of fun. Earlier you brought up how you weren't scared when you were started to go on camera because you're very used to being in front of an audience, being in front of a microphone, and that kind of stuff. And that is because that you sing and play in a band.
Yeah, I do that as well.
The N-Men, one of you're
That's
a
how
good
we
friend
met.
from
That's
that's how we met.
That's how we know each other.
I was
Yes.
lost in Utica, desperately looking at a map, and you came like my knight in
Hey, you
shining
guys
armor.
need some help?
You guys are lost
Gorlami.
as shit. Oh man, you're never gonna get there. What, that way? Don't go that way.
Yeah.
Just follow us.
Yeah, and we've been together ever since. But I mean, you guys, that was an older band that Dustin and I were in, but you guys are still in the same band, the M-Men.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about your band because I think that it's incredible to talk to someone who is doing the workload that you're doing and then is also doing the workload of a band that has a record label, and you don't have that.
Well,
Don't be
like-
so modest.
right, but yeah, I mean, we don't. It's a completely DIY effort. Livia Rinaldi, who is
Yes.
off camera over here, is a huge integral part of that, especially right now because the Google work and the TV show and all these other fun things that are going on unfortunately pull my attention in
Right.
many directions. So Liv has done an amazing job of really stepping up, and she for years has organized our European tours.
Which how many have
Like-
you done? How many European tours have you done now?
What is it? This will be number 7.
Wow.
Now, see, again, this is something we've gotten the privilege to talk to some huge rock stars on this podcast already. But I mean, like someone like Richard Fortus from Guns N' Roses, toured the world a million times, but he's in Guns N' Roses. I mean, like they have all this backing and tour support and all that kind of stuff to be able to do that. You guys
Yeah,
are
but
doing
they don't
this-
have Olivia.
exactly.
That's what I've got. Is I have Olivia.
But that's what I mean. Is just like.
Like Livia's get shit done. that's just the truth
It's
of it.
it's super impressive because even for a band that is do-it-yourself to go and book a single European tour is in a giant effort. And you guys are now about to embark on your 7th time over there. And I always ask this question, and I'm sure I will get the same kind of answer. But is it better to play in Europe than it is in the States?
I don't want to say that it's better, but it's better.
All right, there you go. Because you're not going to be the first one who said it.
Yeah, I mean, you don't want to do that because we've toured in the United States and had some amazing times.
Yeah.
And like one of the comments that always gets made is like, when your faith in humanity begins to wane,
Yeah.
go on tour.
Really?
Yeah, because you get out on the road and you realize that there are people everywhere in the world that are just awesome.
awesome.
And you find those people when you're out. You really take those risks and put yourself out there, and you find the people that care and that are like awesome human beings. Like there are places all over this world now to where I know we can go and we're going to be welcomed warmly and have friends and have support, and that's more important than
Yeah.
selling a bunch of tickets or whatever. Like bands who go on tour to make money, I understand. We have always looked at it as an opportunity to go around and make friends and connect with people. Like,
And see the
It's
world.
not collecting fans, it's collecting friends. We want
Collecting
friends.
memories.
Yeah, family, and like the more you grow and the more you do that, and maybe that's a function of the DIY aspect, because I guess if a label snapped us up and was like, oh, you're gonna play these 3,000 things and
Get on the bus,
right,
play.
get on the bus and go, and like that would probably
Get
change.
off the bus,
but-
play. Get back on
Right.
the bus. Next city. Get off the bus, play. Get on the bus. Next city. You know, it probably takes the personal factor out of it.
Right.
Where you guys are feet on the ground, running the show and booking the tour. That's
what I mean. It's like you guys are doing a lot of work for a band which is now, you are 4-piece, correct, right now?
It fluctuates between 2 and 4 people. We have 4 active members right now.
But you started as just a 2-piece, just the 2 of you.
And we originally started as a 3-piece.
Okay. We originally started as a 3-piece.
Yeah,
but
we
then
had
it
a
went down to
harmonica
that's right.
player for quite a while.
I remember, when we met you.
Jason Godby.
And I know this story a little bit, but can you talk about the inception of the band, because it is a good origin story for when it comes down to a rock band.
Yeah, sure. When Livia and I first met, she was playing in a different band. I was playing in a different band. I subsequently got fired from that band because I was
Jerks.
working too hard.
Yeah.
I don't know. They wanted to have a good time. And they did for like 3 additional months until they fell apart. But so they asked me to step away because I was putting too much pressure on moving forward. And then at the same time, Livia went through separating from her band, and we said, hey, let's get together, let's play music. And a relationship formed, and we spent a lot of time together and ended up falling in love and getting married.
Aww.
And did all that. And then it honestly was something that we were going to get around to. We were always going to get around to it. We're going to figure it out. And we did some rehearsing. We did some working up some stuff. And then we got drunk at a birthday party, and somebody there was like, oh man, I got a night booked at this venue, you guys should totally come and play. And we were like, yeah, that sounds awesome, let's play. And then like woke up the next morning and was like, did we agree to it's like, we better work up like a half an hour's worth of set. And I called Jason Godby, who was a personal friend of mine, or is a personal friend of ours now, and we got together and we jammed out like 5 tunes and covered a Marilyn Manson song. And
Which one?
Awesome.
I don't like the drugs, but the drugs like me.
Oh, nice.
Nobody knew that it was a cover. They were like, that last song you played was dope. And I was like,
Yeah, thanks, I think.
Don't look it up on the internet.
But no, so we sort of put our nuts in a vice, and we're like, well, we got to get some music going. And then we did it, and it was a very positive response to the show. And we did a second show and also got a very positive response, and then immediately stopped playing. And it was like, all right, guys, if this is going to be it and this is going to be real, we're recording a record. We're doing it right now.
Do you think putting yourself in those do or die situations is...
It's honestly the only way that we're able to function.
So
Which is terrible to say.
jump
and
off the
admit
cliff,
to,
figure
but
out how to land later.
Right.
You better learn to fly before you hit the ground. Yeah.
Yeah, but not before you jump off the cliff.
Oh yeah, no. That cliff was 10 miles back. We're still in free fall. But no, it's honest to God something. We're going through the exact same thing right now. We're trying to cut a new record because we've booked the tour. The tour is happening no matter what, and it's like, well, we're either gonna get a record done before we go or we're not. So better kick it in gear. And so I think in 2 weeks we'll be in the studio, and we got some tracks to cut, and we're gonna. We did the same thing last year. We cut an album of 9 songs in about 17 days, from moment one stepping into the studio to cut demos to pressing it to vinyl.
Wow.
In a 2-week period, we fucking tracked it down, mixed, mastered, outputted, shipped off inside of a 2-week period. 9 tunes.
That's awesome.
Only about 5 or 6 of which were actually written before we got into the studio. But it's a function of you got to get it done.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's when some of the best stuff is produced.
Yeah.
When it's like, oh, shit, we got to get it done, and all of a sudden you're also not putting any thought into it. The Japanese term is mushim, no mind.
Yeah. No mind.
And when you put yourself in those do or die situations, it forces mushim upon you, and you're not allowed to think about it. You don't have time to think about it. You only have time to react.
You just do.
Which is and then out comes the purest artwork you've probably ever produced. Yeah. Sometimes
You don't overthink it.
Sometimes you just make shit by accident. You can't help it sometimes.
You've had
but-
some really cool experiences with this band, not just with the touring, but also writing and recording music and stuff like that. And one of my favorite stories, actually, recently from your last record, you took inspiration from a comic book and wrote a song.
Yeah. The
East of West, which is, honest to God, my favorite comic that comes out.
Good.
It's come out from Image Comics.
So good.
And you were just inspired by the book, so you wrote a song and entitled it East of West. And then you wrote me one day and was like, I'm worried about putting this out and not getting permission.
Right.
So I was like, well, just go ask him. And the incredible Jonathan Hickman and
so he puts, apparently, we went to the book, and his personal email address is in the back of the book. So it was just
crazy.
Like fired off an email to Dragata and Hickman.
Dragata and Hickman.
And got a response in like 10 minutes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And they came back and they were like, sounds cool. Send us the track. And so we sent them the recording.
It's incredible.
And they came back right away and they're like, the song is so good. We love it. You absolutely have our permission to post it. And then actually, like, they did artwork for us.
They did artwork for you and then actually put an ad in the back of the book, which
we
ran,
I
think, for 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And that is such a cool thing, especially for a nerd like me. Like,
we talked to them and we worked a lot with Nick, and we were just like, we want to do this. But we want it to be beneficial for you. So the way that we went about it was we said it's absolutely free. Mm-hmm. So we released a single. It's got East of West, which is the track based on the comic, and it's got another song called Morning Birds. It's a 2-song single. They did the artwork for it, and it's 100% free, and it will never charge for it. And so if people want to go get that, you can go to theinmen.bandcamp.com, and you can download it, and it comes with like a screen saver wallpaper for your laptop, and that's individual custom artwork for that.
So cool.
And that was our way to say thanks, and they were super cool about it, about promoting that and just like getting the word out about a great story.
Yeah, and you never know. That goes back to the jumping off the cliff thing too, because you never know. It's like you're not going to not write a song from inspiration, and you wrote that song, and then why not contact them and see what can happen? Because like the absolute worst would be for them to come back and go, you don't have the rights for this.
Cease and desist.
Cease and desist.
This is
but
plagiarism.
That probably isn't going to happen. What normally would probably happen is you would have sent that email out and no response.
Yeah.
And you probably still would have rolled the dice and put it on the record and been okay with it, But I mean, just because you just took that step, it's like
all of a sudden all this other cool stuff. We got to go to Comic-Con.
Yeah.
And we met up with Nick and Artist Row, and we got to do a little
an
chat
interview with them.
Interview,
I got to do that.
Take some photos and sort of give back. I mean, that particular title, it's artist owned, so that's their own. They do all their own risks and reap all their own rewards. So I really appreciate that sort of mentality out of them, and it's just an awesome story.
So awesome. Once again, East of West from Image Comics. It's still going strong. It's going to hit up until issue 50. So I mean, there's ways we can go and pick up all the trades that are out now and pick up the new ones when they come out.
Yeah, it's so good.
So like I kind of stressed before, you are a madman. You are working with your company, with Talks at Google. You're putting in all that time. You're also doing other things with your company. You're doing all the stuff that's happening with your band, including touring Europe multiple times, writing and creating and recording a record.
I know what you're going to ask, Jeff.
Should be like the 5th record.
Yeah.
There's currently 3 reality TV shows that are in various stages of pitch out there in the world that I have partners that we're doing that front with. Day job, grinding away with the Talks at Google program, the Inman by night. I have a podcast that we do.
Yeah. You now are podcasting, which we've actually shouted out on this podcast a couple times. Brave New Weed.
Yeah.
It's great. I love the approach that you're taking, because it's not. You see weed in the title, and it's not like, oh, we're a bunch of stoners and we're going to talk about grass, man. It's like,
try the Blue Dream, bro.
Yeah. You and your,
by the way, try the Blue Dream.
You and your co-hosts actually are coming at this from a scientific aspect, and because there is this stigma about marijuana in normal culture,
right.
And you guys are kind of point counterpoint what is this plant, and
Well, absolutely.
what are the benefits and detriments for this plant?
Right. Well, the big deal behind the podcast is for so long we've lived in a culture that it's been a prohibition culture,
Right.
Yeah.
Around cannabis in general, and we've been sold so much bullshit.
Yeah.
That's based on like racism and classism and just horrible, just nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way that we're going to get past all this is if we can get real information out to people.
Right.
We can normalize the presence of the plant, dispel all the negative connotation that's just been made up to demonize it,
Right.
and correct the missteps that the prohibition culture has taken. Like, today cannabis is too expensive, too strong, too hard to get. For no reason,
Right.
other than people have just manipulated the story and controlled the narrative, and we got to get out there. We got to dispel all the narrative and give people real information,
And
real honest access to
And
information.
those are the type of podcasts that I really gravitate towards and love to listen to. So that's really cool that you're doing that. But all this stuff you're doing, the one question, and I love asking this question because it always seems like you're the perfect person. I always say that to every guest, and you really are. You're so busy. You're so many avenues of your life. What fuels you to keep going? To wake up in the morning and go, okay, I have 1,000 things I have to do today, and I'm going to knock them all out of the park. Like, what fuels you to keep going and doing that with all these things?
You just have to.
Just have to.
You just absolutely have. I mean,
So it's a need.
part of it. Well, there's
A series of cliff jumping.
Yeah, I mean, it's
And trying to learn how to fly.
Forward momentum. You can't just come to like a gymnastics stop on the next cliff face. You're gonna hit it and bounce and continue to roll. I have the most amazing partner who has so many shared interests with me, and we share a great love and a great relationship and a great marriage and a great band and so much else that I can't let her down. I can't let myself down in knowing what I'm capable of and what I want to spend my talents and my energy on. And it's just a matter of collecting these experiences along the way and all these great things that you get to do, like sit here and talk with you guys about these things.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't be able to do this if I didn't get up every day and say, all right, maybe not knock all of them out of the park, but start chopping away, and then like get up the next day and chop away and get up the next day and chop away. And I think I said it in one of our pre-conversations. I was like, it's just an absolute fear of being steamrolled by the momentum of the world and not being on the crest of that wave, but being crushed under that wave.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it's like, if you can get up on top of it and just say like, look, this is the world. This is the pace of how things are. I live in Brooklyn, New York City. If you take a day off, you're behind.
Yeah.
That city will leave you behind, for sure.
It will, and you feel that pressure. And yeah, after a while, it's heavy, and you don't want to carry it. And some days you just need a day off. Some days you need to come upstate and spend 3 days barbecuing and having a good time with friends and
Drinking
and
too
do
much
that.
wine.
Yeah.
And then you just get back and you realize, all right, it's time to run. It's time to run with the wolves. So let's grind it out.
Awesome. Nice little plug there.
Grind it out. Right?
That earns you one extra cup of coffee.
Yes, it sure does.
All right.
Finally, let's talk about all the different places that people can find you and what you're doing. First of all, Talks at Google, that is YouTube, correct?
You can go to youtube.com/talks at Google, or you can go to google.com/talks.
Talks at, and even easier.
Not talks at.
Just talks.
Just
Even easier.
Google.com/talks. You can absolutely go and watch all that great stuff.
And then the N-Men, which you already mentioned, but
Yeah, you can go to thenmen.com, but I don't know if it's worth your time. If there's anybody out there really good at websites, maybe you want to email us at thenmen@gmail.com.
hey, who knows?
You got an Instagram, right?
We do. We have an Instagram. We're on Twitter. All of it is The End Men.
Yep.
We were very fortunate.
And you said
when we came up with
Bandcamp
the
as
name.
well
Yeah,
is where to get
theendmen.bandcamp.com.
a lot of
All
music.
the music is up there. You can just stream it till your heart's content. If you want to throw a couple bucks at us and take it with you, you can do that. We appreciate it.
And
That's
where
awesome.
can people find Brave New Weed?
BraveNewWeed.com.
Yep.
BraveNewWeed.com/podcast for all the podcasts. I work with a great guy named Joel Dolce.
Yep.
He's the host of the show. He wrote an amazing book called Brave New
Brave New
Weed,
Weed,
which
yep.
you can buy off the website as well. That gets you, up to speed to where you can dive straight into all the podcast content. and be right there with us at an even plane of understanding and knowledge. So bravenewweed.com or patreon.com/bravenewweed.
Yep, your Patreon.
If you want to join and support on Patreon, you throw us like $1 and you get it for free.
There you
Nice.
go.
Or you get like all the bonuses start at like $1. We don't need a bunch of money. We just want people involved.
That's awesome. Well, finally, how can people follow you, Mr. Matt Hendershot?
Oh, I don't do anything.
You don't do anything.
No,
right?
if
So
it- if it's not
you're
for-
too busy with all the other stuff.
Yeah, I don't have a Twitter myself or an
Alright,
Instagram or any of that
that's
stuff.
good.
It's just
Well,
like
follow
feed it all into the band. Feed it all
Follow the
into
band, the podcast, all the stuff that you're doing with your company. That's just awesome. Thank you so much for taking time to come up here and
my
talk with
pleasure,
us. For those of you who don't know, Matt has been my lifeline on this brand new studio. So all of the cool stuff that we're
great job, by the way.
Thank you.
It was great.
Well, you with your tutelage, it's definitely been a little bit easier.
Tutelage is a funny word.
I'm full of them, man. Like, come on.
I like that. No, that's not like 1950s language like usual. That's not like dollars to donuts. Tutelage is just a fun word to say.
All right.
Tutelage.
Good. Well, thanks again, Matt, for being on the show.
Thank you guys. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, cheap.
This has been Fueled by Deathcast, a Death Wish Coffee Company podcast production. Thanks for listening.